Hi, this is a tutorial series to teach you how to make your first game in GameMaker in 3 simple steps. My name is Dr. Sky, and I'm a professor of digital media arts at the University of St. Thomas in beautiful St. Paul, Minnesota. This is step 3, and in this video you will learn how to add a collision system as well as fade in and fade out transitions between rooms. So last time when we were working on this game, what we had was this. We had sounds, we had keyboard controls, we have instructions that fade out, we have a score system, all the basic mechanics. We need to add some final polish to the game though. First thing is we want to make it so that we cannot control our terminal object outside of the borders of the game. So right now we can leave the borders, and we don't want that. And we also want to be able to have a title screen and fade in and fade out to different rooms. So we're all going to do that in this video, and that will finish this game. All right, so we're going to create a new sprite and call it S border. And we're going to change the canvas size to 30 by 30. Click apply. Set its origin to be middle center. Click edit image. Click the fill tool and change it to some bright color. Now, we're not going to end up seeing this bright color in the game, and you'll see why in a bit, but we want to be able to see where we're placing it in the room. So we need a nice bright color, then exit out of the sprite editing window, then out of this sprite. And now we're going to create a new object, create object, and we're going to call it O border. We're going to assign the correct sprite. And we are going to open our game. And in the bottom layer, we're going to change the grid size by clicking this drop down arrow. And we're going to change the grid size to be half of what our border object is. Our border is 30 by 30 pixels. We're going to change this grid to 15 by 15 for easy placement. And we're going to select this border. We're going to click it once. Now, again, this is why it's important to have a 3-button mouse, because I'm going to show you how to very quickly add things. Now that we have this selected, we have the bottom layer selected and the border asset selected in the right. I'm going to hold down the Alt key. On a Mac, that would be the Option key. And I'm going to start here in the corner, and I'm going to click and hold and start dragging. And look at that. Right next to each other. Oh, made a little mistake. That's okay. I can hold shift and drag and delete that. And I can, when I hold the option or the alt key, this object appears and I can essentially paint with it. To the bottom there. Go up. Another cool thing you can do, if you hold down shift and select a bunch of objects, you can then hit control. I think you copy and paste, or do you duplicate? I think it's, yeah. Command or control C and then V will copy and paste them, and you can have all of these and move them up. There we go. And now we have our border. Close out of that. And now we can write our collision code to keep the object, our keyboard object, our terminal object in the room. In O terminal, in the step event, we're going to delete this section because we're going to rewrite it in a moment. For now, just delete it. And instead, write this code. Add a new comment, horizontal collision. Now, a version of this collision code you're going to see everywhere online for GameMaker. You'll probably adapt it. And if you follow my platformer tutorial, I use an adapted version of this collision code. We're going to write if place meeting x plus HSP. So first thing, we're going to take our current location of our terminal object and we're going to add the number of pixels we're about to move to it to see if we're going to touch a border object. So x plus HSP, comma y, comma O border. Close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. So if it detects a collision in the place that we're about to be horizontally, do the following code. First, declare a temporary variable or a local variable. So var 1 pixel equals a cool function, sign HSP. So what sign does is it finds out if this is a positive or a negative number. And if it's a positive number, it will just turn it into the number 1. If it's a negative number, it'll turn it just to -1. So that's what we want. We want this to be 1 or -1, depending on which direction it's moving. Now, a while loop. So a while loop is like a for loop, but a while loop is way simpler. It just does some code in a single frame. So while, open parentheses, put a bang there, meaning while we're not about to do this thing. So while bang place meeting, so while we're not overlapping by this amount, x plus 1 pixel, y, o border, open curly bracket, close curly bracket, x plus equals 1 pixel. That should turn yellow in a moment. And then after that, write HSP equals 0 to stop our object. And then after this place meeting, curly bracket, finally down here, we will move x plus equals HSP. Comment commit to movement. So what this does is checks if we're going to overlap with the border object in the amount of pixels that we're about to move. If we are, we don't want to do it because we don't want to actually end up overlapping. We want to stop before we overlap. So we get the sign of HSP, whether it's positive or negative, -1 or +1, and it checks, hey, if we're not touching it in 1 pixel, move us 1 pixel. Now check again. If we're not touching when we move 1 more pixel, move that 1 more pixel. Now, it doesn't do this over several frames. This all happens, since it's a while loop, in a single frame. So what will end up looking like, let's see if I hold up my hands here, this is our terminal object moving towards our wall. It'll move, and then it's going to detect that it's about to touch this in the number of pixels that it's about to move. And then it'll check, okay, how far do I have to go? Here, 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 oh, and it'll snap into place. So let's test to see if that works. Now right now I can only move left or right, so moving right, it stops us. Moving left, it stops us. Now we want to do the same thing for vertical collision, and we can do some copy and pasting first. Let's add a comment, vertical collision. Now, be sure to change everything you need to if you're copying and pasting, or else you're going to get an error code. So first, I copied and pasted this collision code down here for vertical collision. First thing we got to change is this x plus HSP. We want to delete that, just make it x, and change it to y plus VSP. var 1 pixel, sign of VSP, while not place meeting, and then we're going to delete this x plus 1 pixel and change it to y plus 1 pixel. And then change this x plus equals 1 pixel to y plus equals 1 pixel, and change this HSP to VSP, and then change this last line to y plus equals VSP. Now we have vertical movement. Yep. Move up here. Does it stop us? It does. Good. All right, let's add some visual polish to our game. Instead of having these bright yellow blocks, let's open our border object. Let's add a create event. And so what I want to do is make it so instead of yellow blocks, it will show text numbers of 0 or 1 or random numbers. So it looks kind of tech, kind of code, kind of matrix. So I will write in this create event, text equals string random range 0 to 9. Now you should be familiar with both of these functions, string, which turns this number into a text string, and this function, which gives us a random number between 0 and 9. We have 2 open parentheses, so we have to have 2 close parentheses there. And then alarm 0. Let's set it to random range 30 to 120, which means we're going to have this alarm run between a half second to 4 seconds. Now in the step event, we're going to make it so that alarm resets every time it runs, like we've done before. If alarm 0 double equals -1, meaning if it's off, open curly brackets, close curly brackets, alarm 0 equals I random range 30, 120. So again, set it to a random number. And then we'll add an alarm 0 event and write text equals string I random range 0 to 9. So we'll change the number. So what this does is that it'll take this number, turn it into text, and set this alarm, and this alarm will just keep changing it. Every random number of seconds between, half a second to 4 seconds. And now we will add a draw event. And we will write draw set font, F instruct, the same font as before. Draw set H align, fa center, draw set V align, fa middle, draw set color, C aqua, and draw text X, Y, meaning the location of wherever this border object is, and then text, that string variable that we've declared. Now, when you write code in a draw event, it stops using the sprite that we've assigned. If we want that sprite to appear there, we would write draw self wherever in the draw event we want it to appear. If we want it to be the background, we would put it here. If we want it to be the foreground, we would put it here. Draw self is how you get that sprite to appear when you're using a draw event. But if we don't write that in the draw event, this sprite will no longer be used in the game. Here's our new border. Much more visually cohesive. All right, let's add some more polish to the game. Let's add a title screen and a game over screen. But first, let's change some of the narrative stuff because so much of the game is just how you frame the gameplay. Let's go to our instruct object and let's change the instruction text to something more in line with the cyberpunk hacking virus feel of this game. The first instruction we'll write, I'm going to use all lowercase, use the arrow keys to move and delete viruses. So they are now contextualized as being viruses. Delete the viruses before they enter the server. Run the game. Make sure we didn't mess anything up. We didn't. Good. Next, let's do a title screen. Close out of that. Open our title. Click the background layer. Assign our background sprite. Click vertical tile. Change the speed, the Y speed to 0.5, the same as in our game room. And we need to click up here in the tab here to get the room properties again and click creation code. Let's see, there we go. And we need to delete where it takes us to the game because we're going to have a system to enter or start the game. So we don't want that to happen automatically. We want to stop at the title screen until the player chooses to start the game. We're going to create a new font. So over font, right click, create font. We'll call this one F title. And once again, I'm going to use Consolas. C-O. Consolas, bold, except this time I'm going to make it a lot bigger. Let's do size 50. And again, on Macs, I would recommend the font Menlo, M-E-N-L-O. Now create a new object. Call it O-title. Add a create event. And write some code to set its location. I want it to be in the middle of the room horizontally, so I'll write x equals room width divided by 2. Like the room. Y equals 100. which means 100 pixels from the top. Add a new draw event, draw. And we wanted, I want to have a cool sort of black bar in the background. So I will write a comment black bar and write draw set color C black, draw rectangle 0, 60. So the top left corner, I want it to be flush left, and I want it to start 60 pixels from the top. And then for its bottom right corner, its horizontal width, I'll put room width. I want it to go the whole width of the room. And then 140 pixels from the top, and I want it not to be an outline, I want it to be filled in, so I'll put 0 or false there. In fact, this time let's write false, just so that you know you can do both. Comment title of the game, draw set font F title, draw set H align, far center, draw set V align, far middle, draw set color C aqua, draw text. Just draw this text wherever this object is placed, because in the create event we already placed the object where we want it, so I will just write X and Y for where we want this text to be drawn. Let's call it this game virus hack, virus.hack, and make it kind of look like a program, like this. So I make it look kind of like a function in GameMaker. And that's going to be the title of our game. And then let's add another black bar. Draw set color C black. Draw rectangle 0, 400. So it'll be flush left, but 400 pixels from the top for its top left corner. And then room width, so it goes the whole width of the room. And then 450. And then false, we want it solid black. And then how to start the game. Once again, I guess we don't have to do draw set font because, oh, we do, because we have a different font up there. So draw set font F instruct. Draw set color C aqua. Draw text. And where we want to draw this text is in the center of the room. So we're going to write room width divided by 2, 425. Oh, mouse click to initiate. Whew, that was a lot. Lastly, add a step event and write if mouse check button pressed. This checks to see if a mouse button has been pressed, like clicked. And then we'll write MB any. Now you can write MB left for left mouse button click, MB right. And you can also see all the, if you click with your scroll wheel there, you can see all the different ones you can add here. But I like writing just MB any. So any mouse button click will work. 2 close parentheses, open curly brackets, close curly brackets, room, go to our game. Whew, all right, that's a lot, but it should work out. I'm going to close this. I'm going to open our title room, and under instances, I'm going to take our O title and drag it in there and run the game. Virus hack, mouse click to initiate, and if I click, it takes us to our game. Now, close this. Now open our game, and under properties, go to the creation code and write a cool new function, window set cursor CR none. What this does is it makes the mouse disappear. So remember, this is keyboard controls. We don't need to see the mouse. So after the title screen, we go into our game and the mouse will disappear. We've set the mouse cursor to none. Close that. Now go to our title in its creation code. Write a comment, show mouse, and we'll write the opposite. We'll set it so it does show the mouse whenever we're in the title room, because we're going to make it so when the game restarts, it goes back to the title. or we could if we wanted to. Set cursor, we just want to make it so we can see the mouse when we're in the title room, guaranteed no matter where we are. So Windows set cursor, CR default. We'll set it back to the default mouse cursor. Run the game, see if it works. See the mouse, click. No longer can see the mouse, but if I move my mouse outside of the game window, we can see it again and I can exit out. For the game over screen, let's create a new room for our game over. Over rooms, right click, create, where are you? Room. Let's call this R game over. And in the creation code, first we got to set the size, 780 by 780. Height and width, 780 by 780. Now click the creation code and write if audio is playing. So it checks to see if this audio is playing, which is SND music. Check to see if this music is playing. And if it is playing, we want it to stop. So audio, stop, sound, SND, music. Stop the music. Music during game over. We also want to see the mouse again. Window, set, cursor, CR, default. Turn the mouse cursor back on. Now in the O block step event, replace game restart. Delete that. And instead write room go to R game over. Now run the game, see if it works. So we click to start. Let's make sure a block gets to the end, so it'll be a game over. Yep, takes us to a different room. Close out of this. Let's add a new object. Right click, create object. Call this one O restart. Add a create event. Oh, delete this comment. And write x equals room width divided by 2, so it's in the center of the room. Y equals 250, so 250 from the top. Add a draw event. Delete these comments. And write comment game over text. Once again, draw set font F instruct. Draw set color C aqua. Draw set H align fa center. Draw set V align fa middle. Draw text X and Y, meaning just wherever we place this restart object. Draw the text there. The string viruses have infected the server. Draw text X, comma, Y plus 50. So a little lower, right? Viruses destroyed, colon, space, close quotes, space, plus string global dot points. Close parentheses for the function. So double close parentheses there. You can join strings together by adding them like this. No, so you could write viruses destroyed plus, then open another one, more, plus, whatever. But here, what we want to add a plus there, is our points as part of the string. Then lastly, draw text X, Y plus 100. Click anywhere to restart. And then add a step event so that it actually works when we click to restart. If mouse check button pressed, MB any. Open and close curly brackets, indent. Let's reset our global dot points back to 0. Set the global dot block speed back to 2. And then room, go to our game once again. Now this object is not in our game over room yet, so let's open game over, make sure the instances layer is selected, and we will drag in O restart into this room. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, we got to add the same music in that's in our creation code in our title, because the game over room stops the music. So let's add some music to start playing again if the player clicks their mouse button to return to play the game. So let's go back to O restart here. And right before we move to a new game, let's restart the music. If, add a bang there, because we're checking if the music is not playing. If the music is not playing, audio is playing SMD music, close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket, audio, play, sound, SMD music, priority of 1, loop, true. And now let's test it out. We need to get a game over, so I will let one of the viruses get to the end. Viruses have infected the server. Viruses destroyed 3. Click anywhere to restart. Very good. And the last piece of polish we will add is fade in and fade out transitions between rooms. First, in all of your rooms, close out of that, add a new instance layer called fade. So let's start with our game, create a new instance layer, make sure it's at the top, rename it to fade, make sure it's the top. Now remember, you can move layers by clicking and dragging them, but when we created this new layer, it's already at the top, so that's good. Close out of that, go to game over, new instance layer, rename it to fade, our title, new instance layer, rename it to fade. Now create an object, and call it oFade. Add a create event and write fade out equals false. Boolean there. Comment false means a fade in, true means fade out. A equals 1. Comment start completely black unless otherwise instructed. Target underscore room equals, here's an important bit for you to learn, no one. When you want to reference an asset like an object or a sprite or a room, but you're first like declaring a variable for it, but you don't know what to reference, you can use the term no one, all one word, no space. So now in the step event, write our fade out code, fade in and fade out code. If fade out, meaning if fade out is true, open curly bracket, close curly bracket, else, which means fade out is false. So I'll add a little comment there, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. So if fade out is true, indent, we're going to add more condition statements. If A is less than 1, meaning if A is at 0, A plus equals 0.01. Else, else A equals 1, and room go to target room. So this is for a fade out. So for a fade out, A will be set to 0 in some code that we're going to write later, and it will gradually become more and more black, more and more visible. And after it's completely visible and it covers or obscures everything in a room, it'll take us to our target room, which we will determine later. Now for our fade out code, if A is greater than 0, indent A minus equals 0.05, else. Indent A equals 0, instance destroy. Now this is for a fade in. So a fade in, everything starts black, and then gradually you see everything. And when it is totally transparent, we don't no longer need it. So destroy this object. And next in our draw event, add a draw event, right? Draw set color C black. Draw set alpha A, that variable we declared. Draw rectangle. There we go. 0, 0, meaning the top left of the room. And then to get the entire room, room width, comma, room height, comma, and do we want it to be an outline? No, so we write false or 0 there. And then because draw set alpha can affect everything in the game, we end it by writing draw set alpha, set it back to 1 at the end. So whenever we want to fade and go to another room, we just have to create this object and give it some information. So in the oTitle object, let's close out of that, sorry, close. oTitle object in the step event, we're going to change the step event sum. We're going to keep this condition of checking for the mouse click, right? But we're going to delete this. And instead we are going to write if bang instance exists fade. This is saying, hey, does this object not exist yet? If it does not exist, do the following code. Var fade, we're going to create a local or temporary variable named a new instance of an object that we're going to create. Instance create layer. Create it exactly where we currently are. Doesn't matter. You can also write 0, 0 here, because here it doesn't matter where the fade object is created. So I just put X and Y here. In the fade layer, create an instance of fade. With this newly created instance, give it some instructions. Instructions for fade out. Fade out equals true. A equals 0. Target room equals our game. And the reason we have checking to see if it doesn't exist is because we don't want to let the player to keep clicking and creating more and more fade out objects. So after it's clicked once, it'll create this object, and after it exists, you can't create new instances of our fade object. So let's see if it works. Click, and we have a nice fade out. Transition. Now, in the creation code of our game, we can just simply add a line of code, instance create layer. Now here we can't write X and Y because a room does not have a designated horizontal or vertical position. We actually have to give it information. Now we can write 10, 10, 20, 50. It just needs 2 numbers here because it doesn't matter. So I just put 0, 0 for its X and Y location. The layer is fade, comma, fade. So let's run the game, and it should automatically fade in when we get to our game. So fade out, and then our game should, nice quick fade in. Very nice. Let's finish adding the fades in the oblock step event. Change where it says room go to game over, and instead write similar instructions as before. If bang instance exists fade. So if this instance does not exist, var fade equals instance create layer xy fade fade with fade. Fade out equals true. A equals 0. Target room equals our game over. This should work just like the fade out from the title screen. So fade out, fade in. Let's let a block get to the end. Fade out takes us to the game over room. Now, in the game over room. So let's go open our O restart object. And here where it says room go to game, once again, we will write some other code. Var fade equals instance create layer x, y, fade, O fade, with fade, fade out equals true, A equals 0, target room equals R game. All right, we should get a fade out. So fade out here, fade in. When one of our viruses infects the server, we should get a fade out and it will go to the game over room. Now, the game over room, we don't have a fade in to the game over room, which is fine. I kind of like it snapping into place, but when we click here, it should give us a fade out. Fades out, restarts the music, takes us back to the game. And that is it. You have successfully made your first game in GameMaker. Now, the goal here was to teach you some basic principles about GameMaker, introduce the GameMaker language scripting language, GML is what it's called, and hopefully give you some confidence. Hopefully you can go out and start making your own games. Now, when you can't figure out what to do, use the help manual. Let me show you up here. You can do a lot of great searching in the help manual, do some Googling. You'll be able to find things or watch my other tutorials. You should try my platformer tutorial, which is a little bit more advanced, a little bit more elegant, and we can get a little bit more deep into GameMaker. Either way, good luck. Feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on my website, skylorel.net. You can also find links to the games I've made over there. Have a great day, and thank you for watching my tutorials.